An American military drone, a Hellfire missile, an unknown target over the ocean. The missile is launched, the impact is clear, there are no doubts, the object is hit directly. Yet it doesn't explode, it doesn't fall, it doesn't change its course. It simply keeps moving as if nothing happened. This is not a science fiction movie, it's not an amateur video found online. This footage was shown publicly at the United States Congress, in front of representatives, journalists, and cameras. And what we see in it is something we can't explain with the technology or physics we know. What we'll analyze today is surprising and difficult to explain. But before getting to the heart of the video, we invite you to subscribe to the channel to support our work and not miss the next episodes. On September 9, 2025, one of the most discussed public hearings in recent years took place in Washington, focusing on UAPs, the unidentified aerial phenomena, which for decades we have simply called UFOs. It was led by Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, head of the task force for the declassification of federal secrets. Its mission is clear: seek greater transparency from the American government and establish protections for those who share what they've witnessed, unafraid of risking their job or reputation. But this time it wasn't just about listening to testimonies, but about directly addressing the issue of visual evidence. In that crowded room, with congressmen, journalists, and cameras watching, something was revealed that not long ago would have been dismissed as science fiction. An official video from the thermal sensors of a military drone. Not a leaked file on the internet, not an anonymous document. Concrete evidence laid out on the table in a congressional hearing room. That video is exactly where today's mystery begins. The footage, which left everyone speechless, was recorded on October 30th, 2024, off the coast of Yemen. A highly sensitive sea area monitored by drones and United States naval units due to trafficking, military operations, and strategic interests. That day, an MQ-9 Reaper drone sensors detected something unusual, a sort of luminous sphere suspended above the ocean with no signal, transponder without any identification. In military terms, a violation of airspace. The protocol in such cases is strict. First, you try to identify the object, then you classify it. If it doesn't respond, if its origin can't be identified, then it's treated as a potential threat. That's exactly what happened that day. The order came from the base. The MQ-9 drone armed one of its air-to-ground missile, 114 Hellfire missiles designed to pierce armored vehicles and destroy bunkers. Lethal weapons able to travel at 1,600 kilometers per hour. The missile is launched. Its thermal trail is visible just moments before impact. And here the inexplicable occurs. The object is struck directly, yet it doesn't explode, fall, or change course. It continues undisturbed as if nothing happened. A scene that already defies all military logic, but what the following frames show makes the mystery even deeper. Another scene that defies all military logic, already in itself defies military logic, defies everything. Another scene that in itself already defies all military logic. Another scene that in itself is military logic. Another scene that in itself defies all logic. Another one in itself defies all military logic. Thank you. They continue to follow the same trajectory as the main object, as if they were attracted by an invisible force that keeps them attached to it. This part most shocks viewers watching the video up close, because if a solid body is hit by a missile at that speed, physics tells us that one of these two things must happen. Either the object explodes and shatters into 1,000 pieces, or, if it resists, its trajectory is deflected. In this case, neither one nor the other happened. The object continued to move undisturbed, and the fragments behaved as if they were still part of it. This is where the technical analysis becomes unsettling. We don't know of any earthly material capable of reacting in this way. And not only that, the behavior of the fragments themselves seems to violate the laws of physics as we know them. A Hellfire missile struck a target directly at over 1,600 kilometers per hour. Yet it didn't destroy it, it didn't stop it, it didn't even slow it down. And at this point, there are only two possibilities left. The first, the footage is fake, manipulated, but be careful, we're not talking about a video found on the internet shared by an unknown blogger. This material was presented in an official United States Congress session. If it really were a fake, it would mean that the manipulation happened at the highest institutional levels. Then the question gets more disturbing. Why? Why show a doctored video to parliamentarians and journalists? Who would have an interest in creating a deception of this magnitude? There's a paradox here. Those calling believers in the footage conspiracy theorists are actually admitting it's fake. They end up admitting the existence of an even bigger conspiracy. A state conspiracy carried out with objective means that none of us knows about. Another possibility is that the footage is authentic, and in this case, we are faced with something real, but that completely escapes our understanding. An object struck by a missile continues undisturbed, with fragments still drawn to the main body, something that terrestrial physics simply isn't able to explain. At this point, the question is inevitable. What are we observing? The first hypothesis, the simplest one. It could be a secret technology of the United States itself. But this explanation doesn't hold up. Why would a country order the shooting down of its own prototype? A billion-dollar aircraft wouldn't be destroyed by a missile in front of Congress. If it truly were American technology, we would already see it on the battlefield. This weapon could shift the entire geopolitical balance. If this is ruled out, the theory is it could belong to a hostile power like Russia or China. Here we also face a contradiction. An unidentified object entering United States controlled airspace would equal a declaration of war. And no power in such a tense historical moment would risk an escalation of this kind. And above all, if such a technology really existed, capable of withstanding a direct missile, it would mean that nation possesses absolute superiority, able to nullify any defense. Such an enormous advantage wouldn't have remained hidden. It would have already been shown, used, and claimed. Here are the hypotheses that suggest more unsettling scenarios. Given its behavior, the object doesn't appear to be controlled by a sentient being. It doesn't dodge, accelerate, or change direction. It stays on course, as if programmed, indifferent to everything around it. We might be dealing with a highly advanced reconnaissance drone designed to patrol our skies unnoticed. But here's the crucial point. No known terrestrial drone could withstand a Hellfire missile, and that's why many analysts support the more radical hypothesis, that of a technology foreign to our civilization. A probe sent by an external intelligence, capable of observing, recording, and continuing on its way without even considering our attacks. Because maybe it doesn't consider us a threat. And so one question remains: who pressed that button? Who gave the order to fire? Did he truly know what he was fighting? If the person who pressed that button really didn't know what they were facing, then the events of October 30th, 2024 are truly disturbing. Because it means that an American drone opened fire on something unknown without knowing what the consequences could be. And yet there's another possibility, even more uncomfortable. Maybe someone knew exactly what they were fighting against. Maybe it wasn't the first time they tried to shoot down an object like that. In fact, history holds traces of very similar episodes. In 1967 at the Malmstrom base in Montana, several witnesses described the same scene. Luminous objects hovered above the nuclear silos, and at the same time, 10 intercontinental ballistic missiles shut down in unison, as if they had been deactivated by an invisible hand. A year later, in 1968 at the Minot base, there was another sighting. UFOs appeared on radar, fighter jets scrambled to intercept, but military systems suddenly failed again. But the most famous incident happened in Iran in 1976. Two F-4 fighter jets took off to chase a luminous object over Tehran. When the pilots tried to lock on and launch their missiles, the onboard systems instantly shut down. Once the object left, everything worked again. These are not just legends. Former officers like Robert Salais have testified before Congress that these incidents were real and documented. Unknown objects not only flew over nuclear sites, but also controlled or disabled launch systems. In light of these previous incidents, the 2024 video seems less isolated than it appears. Maybe it wasn't a sudden gesture. Maybe the order to open fire was part of a script we've seen before, an attempt to respond to a presence that has challenged our understanding for decades and exposed the fragility of our weapons. And so the real question becomes another. Are we really facing something unknown? Or does someone already know what it is and deliberately chooses not to tell us? The October 30, 2024 episode stands out. An American missile was fired at an unidentified object that kept moving unaffected. An event documented, presented in a congressional hearing, analyzed by experts, and discussed by military and journalists. Whether it is unknown technology, high-level manipulation, or something else, it makes little difference. What we have seen is something that challenges our certainties and puts into crisis the way we interpret reality. In recent years, we have witnessed a series of statements, leaks, and testimonies. We might think that these are just coincidences, that everything comes from mistakes, from imposters seeking notoriety. Or could we imagine that behind this chaos of half-truths, there is a plan? The intention to slowly prepare the public for something much bigger. We believe that the phenomenon exists, it's real. Too many testimonies, too many official documents, too many radar and military confirmations to dismiss it as collective suggestion. But the origin of the phenomenon still remains a mystery, or maybe not. It may have been here longer than we realize, and precisely for this reason, the hypotheses about hidden technology have lost all credibility. Instead, the persistent idea remains that something or someone has long operated at the edges of our reality. Something we don't know, but someone else understands well. These few who know love one thing above all else. Creating confusion? At this point, we're really curious to know your opinion. Let us know in the comments what you think. And if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like it, and share it, because every interaction from you is a way to support our work. See you in the next story.